Hi everyone, welcome to MST's next Tech Talk. This is our Tech Talk number 5, and today we're talking to MST's General Manager for Product Management and Marketing, Mark Palmer. Mark has extensive experience across engineering, sales, marketing, product management, and has worked with one of Australia's leading energy providers before he joined MST. So largely what we're going to be talking about today, in Deloitte's recent article around tracking the trends, the 2021 report, they discuss how the journey towards true organizational integration requires a big data cleanup and the type of effort that's involved in that, and how we can start to integrate that information and operational technology plus the right network across the entire value chain in a business. So in today's Tech Talk, Mark is going to discuss current constraints and actions required for a company to undergo this very activity, and that having a true understanding and state of play around their situational awareness, meaning the status of their people, assets, and processes in real time. So welcome, Mark.
Thank you, Nicolette. Welcome to you.
So the term situational awareness has obviously been around for some time, but why is there a renewed interest all of a sudden, and especially over the last 12 months?
Well, it's a very broad concept. We're talking about being able to see the state of people and assets and processes in real time across the whole of the mine, and that's a real challenge underground especially. Really, for the efficient and safe operation of a mine, we require quick and effective decision making from our people, and to do that they really do need accurate and up-to-date information. I think the thing is, with the digitization of the mines and advances in tracking and visualization, it does provide the basis for these informed decisions, but really I think the next step is being able to facilitate people to be able to make those decisions based on this infrastructure that's now in place.
Okay, that's great. And how do you see how situational awareness has improved?
Well, I think it's 3 main areas that it's improved. The first one is safety. And if we think about the sort of traditional concept of awareness, making vehicle operators aware of people around them, for example, but the key is to make them aware when they need to and not when they don't, so they can focus on the efficient operation of their machine. But the second that something occurs which can compromise safety, they're made aware of it. So I think safety is one big area. Decision making is another. It's really about providing people with the information that they need and not providing with the information they don't. So visualization solutions such as MST Helix, for example, can be tailored to provide people with the information that they need. But it not only gives them the information that they need, but it makes them aware of the items that they need to make those decisions effectively. So it can be absolutely tailored to the decision-making process. I think finally, efficiency is the other big area. At one end of the scale, it can be around capturing trip cycles, for example, for the optimization of overall mine processes. Or it could be as simple as finding the nearest electrician for a piece of equipment breakdown, which could be costing the mine tens of thousands of dollars an hour. Both of those things rely on knowing where people are and equipment is in real time.
So let's bridge that out a little bit more. How does that all work together? So what type of technologies can be deployed and established when building a digital ecosystem underground?
Well, I think the first thing really is the infrastructure, which has been the focus for a while for people. So we need a good fiber backbone to give us speed. We need good wireless coverage so that people can stay connected throughout the mine. And we provide this with our Axon family in hard rock environments and our Impact family in hazardous areas. I think the next thing is connectivity. So it's people and equipment connecting to that infrastructure. So essentially, if you're looking at, say, people and equipment, that can be transponders or tags, which gives information about who they are or what they are and where they are and at what time. And I think probably the final piece is that human and machine interface, so that people can actually see information that's flowing around this network. So it's around breaking down those silos, maybe through APIs, for example. Software such as our Helix platform actually takes this information from the network and provides it in a humanly digestible way, which is the key to good decision making.
So that's great, and it's all well and good to have access to your data, but the status of personnel and equipment is a completely different thing. How can data be interpreted across a project and then across the whole value chain to create true value?
I think the key thing there is that data, it needs to be converted to information for good decision making. If you're just presented with data, then there is an element of time that you have to interpret that data. You need to know the context of the data. So the first thing is that it's presented to you as information rather than data. I think the next thing really is bringing that network data into a secure visualization program like Helix. And as I said, converting that data into real time or historical trends. So depending on what sort of decisions you're trying to make, it could just be a case of showing you what's going on now for your decision making, or it could be about providing trends for longer term analysis and decision making. So it's really about, the key is that data to information conversion.
And at MST, we're at the forefront, obviously, about bringing in emerging technologies into our ecosystem and into our technology stack. What other advancements do you think the industry can expect in 5 to 10 years, and from a tracking sensor automation standpoint?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that the network capability overall will probably improve in terms of backbone speed, for example. As the volume of data increases, then the backbone speeds will need to increase with them. Uploads and download speeds, I think, are also going to be important as people, more and more people connect to the network and expect to have the experiences below ground that they have over ground. And also the capability for an increased number of users, so that network capability doesn't degrade when more and more people connect to it. I think the other thing that will emerge is more monitoring and data gathering. So perhaps not using traditional sort of Wi-Fi only, if you like, wireless, but the emerging wireless protocols driven to an awful extent by the IoT concept. I think the other thing is that more emerging use of edge devices. In other words, doing the processing and the big number crunching on the edge, and restricting the network traffic for communications that really has to happen on the network. I think the other thing is that more agnostic nature of systems, so that multiple protocols can be supported, and those protocols which are most appropriate for the application and the area in the mine. I also think that high accuracy tracking, where it really adds value and safety, will start to come to the fore. Used where it's needed to be used, again, the agnostic nature, if you like, of being able to apply systems. And the other thing really is the software that presents people with information, allowing them to make those decisions quickly and accurately. So I think that's really where the technology will start to move.
Interesting. And do you think many operations are already at the level of situational awareness that we're talking about today? Or do you think that they've got to invest heavily in integrating more of that data and the cleaning up of the project type thing, and how to bring in the hardware and software perfectly?
I suppose it depends really on the size and complexity of the operation. I mean, like all things in life, an investment made needs to show a good return for sustained profitability. I think that more organizations are looking at better integration between hardware and software systems. And by looking at properly integrated systems, it does reduce their installation and commissioning burden for pre and post implementation. But I think that one of the things that people can do is to look more at the outcome that they desire from this integration to really improve on the ROI. So, for example, taking a single example, you might think that you just need to find where an authorised person is, such as a deputy. Whereabouts is the deputy in the district? But if you think about it in broader brush terms, the end goal may be that you actually need to ensure the correct number of deputies for the number of districts are available. And the solution may be an alert, for example, when the correct ratio or number of deputies isn't available. So, I think that minds at the moment are starting to look, rather than just the sort of transactional thing, what do I need now, but what is the kind of end result? And so the thought is going into that level of integration at the front end.
So talk to us a little bit about the process with Helix and integrating Mind's third-party data or sensor or tracking and making sure it's all working together, and what other miners we're working with around that, and any issues that we've come up against or challenges from the data cleansing aspect.
Yeah, okay. So I think the thing is that I mentioned before that hardware and software systems need to be integrated. And if, for example, you talked about Helix and third-party sensors, Helix software really brings the Axon Edge devices to life. Without software, electronics are just black boxes. So if we look at Helix automation, for example, we can use Helix automation to connect to sensors on an IoT-based environmental monitoring platform. So the Internet of Things has been a concept above ground now for some time, but there have been challenges in terms of connectivity underground. So by bringing these edge devices and software together, Axon Gateway, for example, can be configured by Helix to read those sensors and can be brought into the system. But when we look at sort of integration of those third-party sensors, if required, the data can be shared with other systems using, again, IoT protocols such as MQTT. So what that means is that we can use our software and our hardware within an area in the mine, but if it needs to be shared into an area which isn't necessarily associated with that hardware and software, then it can be shared through these protocols and integrated into the operation as a whole. I think in terms of working with mines, we do tend to work with them today about understanding their current and future state. And it's quite important that we can share our roadmaps of where we are now, where we're going, and when we're going to go there. Because mines are looking at the future for this investment. It is an investment and it will deliver major returns. So it's important that hardware and software solutions can grow and evolve with the life cycle of the mine, and that we're very careful to ensure that we can consolidate the functionality not normally associated with digital infrastructure and software, such as automation, as I've mentioned, such as connecting to IoT sensors. So we can deliver that consistent data and information, simplify the installation and commissioning process, and make sure that we're working these assets as hard as we can.
So in saying that, that's all very insightful. I'm just wondering if there's anything else you want to include or any other insights that you think would be of benefit for our listeners today.
I think the thing is that sometimes it's easy to, when we talk about situational awareness, to think about the more traditional associations of machine and person interaction. But actually, it's a much bigger thing than that. It's as a concept, it requires the knowledge of the location of people and machines across the whole operation, so that an immediate understanding of the operation can be had by people who can then make informed decisions quickly. But it shouldn't just be about those fast decision making. It should also facilitate more detailed analysis, so that details affecting the operational efficiency and safety as the organization as a whole can be made when people need to make them.
Very valuable. Thank you very much for your time today, Mark. I've really enjoyed the talk, and I hope everyone else finds it interesting as well. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Nicolette.